Good morning, here's your Chambana Weather Morning Minute for Wednesday, February 12th. The winter weather advisory goes into effect at 9 o'clock this morning, lasting into the overnight. We won't see our first snowflakes here in Champaign-Urbana until about 12 p.m. or 3 p.m., somewhere right in between that early afternoon window. Heavy snow possible as we head into the evening. It's possible we see some sleet mixing in there as well. If you're able to wrap your day up early and head on home during the early afternoon, go ahead and take advantage of that, because I do think we'll be looking at a rather messy evening commute. 2 to 3 inches total by the time we get to tomorrow morning. I understand that is quite a bit lower than some of the other forecasts out there. I think the National Weather Service going with 4 to 6 inches, and I want to explain why here as we go through this video. 26 degrees as we get the day started here at 6 o'clock this morning in Champaign-Urbana. If we look nationally, here is the Arctic front that's going to bring much colder temperatures to the region during the day tomorrow, and then especially on Friday morning. So we take a look at the satellite picture. Champaign-Urbana located right about here. Maybe I'll use a black color here to kind of highlight it better. You see the jet stream taking its big dive right here, and then you see the winds fanning out in the upper levels. And that leads to rising motion throughout the column of the atmosphere, and that's what gives us the convection, the cloud cover, and the precipitation that we're seeing here with this storm system. So flip it over and look at the radar picture again. Champaign-Urbana located right about here, and we can see all of the precipitation beginning to organize off to our southwest and lift it into our direction. Now here's the beginning of the reasoning why I have a 2 to 3 inch forecast versus a 4 to 6 inch forecast. We're looking at upper level water vapor imagery, or the water content within the upper levels of our atmosphere. I'm going to highlight central Illinois right here, approximately Champaign-Urbana. I'll go ahead and circle that in black. What I want to draw your attention to is kind of the yellow shading that you start to see kind of digging in right in here. This is a dry slot. This is a layer of dry air in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. It's going to eventually be working its way right into central Illinois during the late evening and the early overnight hours. So if we flip it over, we'll look at the high resolution rapid refresh model, one of our high resolution models. Timing out first the beginning of the snow here in Champaign-Urbana. We'll bring it back here. Precipitation starts to move in. Again, very close to, probably close to 2 o'clock this afternoon, somewhere between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock this afternoon. Perhaps seeing some sleet mix in there at times. Should be all snow as we head into the late afternoon and evening. Again, perhaps some sleet in there. The reason I have that lower snow total is because, again, some of these models, they keep the snow going well into the overnight hours. So let's go ahead and flip over here. I want to direct your attention to the top right. We're looking at 500 millibars of relative humidity. I'm going to highlight Champaign-Urbana right about there once again. And let's play this loop as we head through the afternoon into the evening hours, watching this dry slot. You see the brown shading right here that's beginning to work its way off to the north and to the east. This dry slot punches right into central Illinois right about 6 o'clock this evening. That's going to really eat into the amount of snow that's falling across the region. So once again, let's look at another model, the 3 kilometer NAM model, another one of our high resolution models. Watching the snow move into the area, again, mid-afternoon, right around 2 o'clock this afternoon, I think, but somewhere between noon and 3. Again, perhaps we get some sleet working in as we head through the late afternoon and evening hours, again with a rough evening commute here with several inches of snow accumulation possible by that time, or at least a couple. This is when the dry slot works its way in, right here at about 6 o'clock this evening, and you do see some erosion of the precipitation down here. But this particular model continues with heavy snow even as we head on into the overnight and the early afternoon, early morning hours tomorrow. So let's do a little bit of math. Some of these models are spitting out anywhere from 0.5 to 0.6 inches of total liquid precipitation. We melt all the snow down, how much liquid do we have? If this all fell as rain, essentially, looking at 0.5 to 0.6. Up till about 6 p.m., we see about 0.25, or a quarter of an inch. I'm struggling with my decimal verbiage early this morning, up to about 0.3 of an inch of precipitation. Once the dry slot works its way in, I simply don't think that we have enough precipitation to get us to this 0.5 or 0.6 threshold here. I think a more likely total accumulation of liquid precipitation here is probably around 0.35. I think we'll see flurries certainly into the overnight, but not any rapid accumulation of precipitation. So we're going to get 0.35 liquid equivalent of precipitation here, a little over 0.3 of an inch. Now we have to talk about our snow to liquid ratio. If you take all of that snow or liquid and fluff it into snow, we look at a ratio here. An average would be a 10 to 1, and that means for every 1 inch of precipitation, you get 10 inches of snowfall. That's an average profile here. We're going to be looking at a wetter snow that's a little more compact. So we're going to be talking about a ratio here that's more like 7 to 1. So then what we do, we have to take our total liquid equivalent here, looking at, again, between 3/10 and 4/10 of an inch, we'll call it 0.35. Take that times your 7 for your snow to liquid ratio. So I'm going to get a calculator out. I'm going to do this with you right now, real time. Let's go ahead, 0.35 times 7. That puts us at about 2.45, 2.5 inches. So I'm not going to go through a lot more in the way of calculations on the screen here. I think even if we then do an 8 to 1 ratio, then we're talking about closer to 2.6, something like that. So again, the reasoning for my forecast here being lower than the other forecasts that you're seeing is those forecasts that you're seeing 4 to 6 inches of total accumulation being put out are taking into account that we're supposed to see another 2 to 4 inches of snowfall overnight, which I simply don't think is going to happen. I think more likely we see maybe an inch of snow during the overnight. That's the reasoning why I keep my totals here for Champaign-Urbana at 2 to 3 inches. Now the winds, they will be, not a non-factor, but not terribly blustery as we head through the event here, as we kind of hug the warm front right here, but still seeing gusts anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour possible during the overnight. So rurally, especially maybe some visibility issues. Winds do begin gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour as we head into the morning hours tomorrow as that Arctic front moves through. That is going to send our temperatures plummeting here as we hold steady during the overnight. Temperatures, in the near 30 degrees tomorrow morning. But that front moves through, temperatures quickly falling into the 20s and eventually the teens by tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, and then into the single digits and eventually a couple of degrees below zero by the time we get to Friday morning. So here's your 5-day outlook. Snow tapers off Thursday morning. Bitterly cold, temperatures falling during the day on Thursday all the way down to a low of -2. Bitterly cold temperatures continue on Friday, a high of 13. Those winds continue to be blustery at times, wind chills 5 to 15 below zero. But look at the rapid warm-up, already back up into the 30s and 40s by the time we get to the weekend. And early next week, our next storm system arrives Monday and Tuesday with a chance for rain and snow once again.